Well, let's get straight into the biggest news of the week, and that is Netflix is to acquire Warner Brothers in a deal worth $82.7 billion. Okay, so reportedly, allegedly, supposedly, this is confirmed. We'll get into some why that's still up in the air later. Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers for, $82.7 billion, one of the largest media mergers ever, bigger than Disney and Fox when they were merged. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought Disney and Fox would have been bigger. But hey, what does this mean? Netflix is no longer just a streamer. It is now a full Hollywood mega studio, film, TV, gaming, animation, IP, all under one roof. Immediate reaction angles. The streaming wars are officially over. This just rewrites the entire entertainment industry overnight. If this deal was to go through, what exactly is Netflix getting besides the massive debt that Warner Brothers has? Well, movie franchises include the DC Universe, Wizarding World, Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Hogwarts Legacy universe. They have Doom, The Matrix, Godzilla in the Monster Universe, Madman, Blade Runner. Legacy and family IPs include Scooby-Doo, Looney Tunes, Lego movies, The Conjuring universe, Space Jams, to name a few. And HBO, Prestige TV and global networks include some HBO originals, Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, The Last of Us, Emporia, however you pronounce that, The Sopranos, The Wire, Succession, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Major networks include HBO, CNN, TBS, TNT, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Discovery Channel, TLC, Animal Planet. Oh, I love me some Animal Planet. Food Network, HGTV. I do love Food Network at one point. Some of the Warner Brother games include Mortal Kombat, Hogwarts Legacy, DC Video Games, Rocksteady, Warner Brothers San Diego, and Warner Brothers Montreal, meaning Netflix exclusive games become realistic. DC Gaming plus Film Universe merge. Harry Potter live service actions games. I'm sorry. Mortal Kombat tied to Netflix film animation. Warner Brothers got a huge amount of content going back 100 plus years. Warner Brothers is one of the first major success movie studios there were. Classic cartoons, reality TV archives, global syndication rights, and international licensing. Now, I think one of the biggest factors in this deal is Warner Brothers real estate, studios, and production line. Netflix will stand to gain Warner Brothers Studios, global production facility, sound stages, backlot cities, international TV production arms. I think that is like the main thing. They want them movie studios that Warner Brothers has, because that can really help them push out their Netflix content and have a quicker turnaround. Revenue streams. Netflix will add box office revenue, global TV revenue, cable network, and ad revenue, merchandising for all its franchises, game sales, live events, licensings, and syndications, blah blah blah, just a bunch of word salad. So Netflix is, that's a lot. And not to mention that they will have HBO Max and a Discovery Plus underneath their umbrella. Now, a lot of people are making kind of like predictions that they will shut down HBO Max and Discovery Plus. I mean, I don't really see that. And if they do that, I think that's years away. It takes a lot to have HBO Max customers and Discovery Plus customers realize, oh, this is a thing, and then realize, hey, I have to go watch this on another platform. So even if they do transitions, I think that's years in the making. It takes them years to really, just like Crunchyroll and Funimation. It took them a good minute to shut down Funimation. And don't get me started, because the Funimation app had way better content than Crunchyroll still to this day, but that's a topic for a different story. A lot of people are questioning what's going to happen in the meantime. Like, James Gunn, is his position safe? I don't think so. A lot of the movies were expected to have sequels, like the latest Batman, and we all know certain shows like Peacemaker got canceled, but they're in the middle of making good content right now, like the Welcome to Diary series on HBO Max. There's a lot of stuff that's supposed to get another sequel, so what's going to happen to it? I think Netflix is gonna maintain whatever is making money, and whatever is bleeding money is gonna get cut. And there might be some jobs involved in that, but when these mergers happen, there's usually somebody that gets the short end of the stick, and that's most of the time the workers. If you're not behind a successful product, now that pretty much wraps up the major, what they're gonna get from the deal. But I also put out there that this deal, it says confirmed, but it's still up in the air whether Netflix actually won because they were in a bidding process. It is reported that Netflix came out the winner with the 82.7 billion. But from what I'm reading, Paramount Plus is trying to make a final last push to win the bid or do a hostile takeover. I don't know how you do a hostile takeover when you're in a bidding process. So reportedly, they're trying to give Warner Brothers $30 per share, where Netflix gave them 27 point something per share. So a little above. They saying that they'll bring in more cash offer than Netflix has. Listen, I think if I had to choose between Netflix buying them, well, ultimately, I wish Apple would have bought them. I would have thought that would have made sense for them. But whatever. Apple does what Apple does, and maybe because they're in the middle, they know their CEO is stepping down. Maybe they don't want to get entangled with something like this. Out of Netflix and Paramount Plus, I'm definitely going to go with Netflix, even though they have that stupid thing where you have to check in like once a month to make sure no one out of your household is watching your account. I mean, there's a way around that, but I'm not gonna just blast it here on the internet. And I don't want that for HBO Max. Like, I do share HBO Max with my cousin, so if they start doing that, that's really gonna irritate me because I'm gonna have to do a workaround to watch HBO Max. But I just don't believe in Paramount Plus just because their streaming app is horrendous and it's been out for years. The fact that it still stutters, it still like crashes out. I no. I'd rather Paramount Plus focus on their own shit, fix their own shit before they start buying something else. Like fix your own family first before you start trying to extend the family out per se. But yeah, that's all the major talking points that's out right now. There's a lot of people talking on the internet, and it was shocking when this news came out because it was kind of quick. First, it was allegedly, that was the bid, and then shortly after that, they said, "Oh, it's confirmed they're the winners." So it happened kind of fast. When we reported this a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have predicted that Netflix would have won a bid, but supposedly Netflix is worth $500 billion, so they got some money. They some big dogs in the race. So, what do you think about this news, Infamous?
It's a lot. It is a lot to take in. It is a lot of moving pieces going around. Because I remember when we did report on this, it was Paramount that put a bid in and it was rejected, if I remember correctly, how we reported it. And what was going to happen this week was that the news going around town was Netflix had put up a huge price bid for us. I'm like, oh, and I didn't know Netflix was rolling the dough like that. I mean, after all these years, they finally turned that ship around, being out of the red into the black. But it is confirmed by Netflix that they have quote unquote acquired it, even though I feel like that's a little bit of false advertisement because it also came from them saying that it will take until the end of the third quarter of 2026 for this to even go through and be finalized. So it's like, are you really, should the word really be used saying acquired? Maybe it should be more of a we've accepted, your offer and then looking at the terms. Not to be redundant, but going on what my cousin said, yes, Paramount is trying to do a hostile bid of saying like, hey, we'll top that. And it's absurd that either one of these companies have this kind of money to throw around. And it almost seems like Paramount is just trying to overpay, just get their hands on it, which I have to agree. I would kind of Netflix to get it because if Paramount has that much money, they're not putting it in the right place. It's horrendous. It takes 10 minutes to get to something, let alone start watching it. Now, if they have this type of money and this type of catalog prowess, then okay, go ahead. I do agree with that whole the workaround Netflix thing. I didn't know about that. That's a problem. And that is true. If Netflix gets it, HBO, that might be a problem. Because we watch HBO hassle-free. But what I was gonna say was for them to take on this amount of and blow this amount of money, they have to be super, super confident. And you were saying that you wanted Apple to buy it, which I did think about it because I'm like, Apple probably is the better out of any of the suitors. They got the most cash on hand. But then again, they probably like, hey, we don't want to take on that type of debt. We don't have debt. We make money. So I can somewhat understand that. But then at the same time, too, this goes on to what's been going on in the entertainment industry as a whole. Consolidation. Every company that has been gobbled up, bought up, outbid, bought outright, whatnot, it has always come to the detrimental side of the consumer. People are reporting that if this does go through, yeah, there'll be some redundancies. Some people probably will lose their jobs. I mean, you don't need two content creators or directors or whatever in both studios. One would get let go, yes, but also them taking on this heavy burden, this 82. I'm not gonna say this. We're just gonna round it off. This $83 billion. Yeah, some people are gonna lose their job. They're gonna trim the fat. They're gonna do everything, but also they're probably gonna raise prices. Netflix has notoriously since its inception has risen the prices, and to some they'll say, well, they use that money to give you a higher quality and more of their content since everyone keeps taking content off of this. And to some degree, it's like, okay, but at the same time, a good chunk amount of them Netflix originals, they kind of just ass. They kind of just ass. I'm just gonna say it. It is very, maybe alarming is probably the wrong word, but it's very that Warner Brothers, one of them founding staples of cinema film in this country, is being bought out by the youngest entertainment streaming service and has the money to outbid Paramount and others. Well, Sony and I believe Apple had came out and said they weren't interested. So, but I do find it alarming, more consolidation in the industry, because it's gonna hurt us in the long run. I promise you, give it a year if the deal goes through. There's still time for government entities to step in and be like, this is too big of a merger in a sense. So now I'm sure government regularities will look more into this, like, yo, should you all have all of this? Yo, break this up into whatever pieces it needs to be. You get what you need, let someone else go and buy it. But this is a win for AT&T because they have had a tremendous amount of debt that they have just not been able to clear and or get through. And Netflix, as far as I know, has been in the black and is very, very successful. But my also concern is, what does this do for the DC properties as far as the so-called James Gunn universe, who was they're supposed to be their crowning jewel savior to help them with Marvel? Analysts are saying he may be on the chopping block if this goes through. What's going to happen with the sequel to the Batman movie? Baby, Netflix is also notorious for, if a show does not just have the ratings, the viewership, the numbers of it wants, whether it be the first day, the first week, the first month, axed. Plain and simple. Not another chance. But it's interesting. The amount of money for this being sold is highly interesting. I am interested to see how this plays out, but at the same time, I'm just gonna flat out say it. I kind of don't want this merger to go through. Consolidation across the board has just been bad. HBO has recently raised their prices. Hulu has recently raised their prices. Disney has recently raised their prices. The only way the consumer comes out on top is if you take this weird bundle thing they have with this going together. Like I said, Netflix raised their prices. So if they get this on hand, trust and believe, more fat will be trimmed. They're gonna close, they're gonna lay off, and they're gonna raise. Netflix is almost $30. That's damn near Game Pass prices. The thought, but we have tons of time to see where this goes. Like I said, it was already reported damn near the end of next year to see where this goes. But I am truly, truly more interested in how governing bodies slash regulators, what is their argument on how they step in on this? Because the FTC warned about this the last one, and no one paid attention. Look what happened. So that's where I stand on this.
Yeah, so I'm not even about to play these games about the government entities. Whoever get their pockets laced is gonna let this deal go through. So let's not even play games. That shit is
Oh
not
yeah,
that
good
has
point.
no integrity. So let's not even waste our brain power trying to see, oh, if this is gonna pass government. Fucking Netflix laces the right people with money, they'll push whatever through. And two, I'm a little curious in why you say consolidation is bad, because in this case, Warner Brothers is looking at bankruptcy, which was going to strip them and probably have it sold off to whoever individually, which probably would be worse for all the IPs that's in like this little gray area limbo. So I don't really see this as a bad idea. Yeah, I feel like if Warner Brothers would have went to bankruptcy, everybody would have lost their job. The amount of money and the amount of things that they have still in production would have all been wiped. At least with this Netflix, they're gonna keep, like I said, they're gonna keep the things that's making money. If your shit's not making money, then you don't need to continue, honestly. Unless, I mean, not saying you can't turn it around, but I'm not gonna fun shit that's not gonna make money, or at least cover costs at minimum. And you can't expect these businesses in 2025, with everything we've been reporting about how they look at the pocketbook, and expect them to take L's. These businesses are in the business to make money. So if your show didn't make money, James Gunn, if your Superman didn't make the money it needed to, then you're gone. And I'm not gonna blame a business for doing that, because at the end of the day, these businesses have X amount of employees they gotta pay. Yeah, maybe they CEO gets a fucking Bugatti and all that. But I'm talking about the little guy that's in the back room that needs this job and needs this business to continue to make money to fund their fucking family. Hey, it's gonna be real unfortunate for those who do lose a job because of this merger. But my thing is, everybody would have lost their job if if Warner Brothers would have went to bankruptcy. Everybody. So I mean, I know I make that joke about less evil and big evil is still evil. But hey, at least it probably saves the most amount of people's jobs in the end. So I'm real youth making that note that mergers are bad. I think in 2025 going forward, as the financial situation worse, it's either gonna get worse or maybe maintain. A lot of business is gonna be facing bankruptcy and getting their shit stripped from them, or hey, let me go get saved by another bigger company that is finding a way to make money. I don't think you can just down talk about mergers being bad, because that's a loaded statement. These businesses are struggling to continue to make payments on their loans, their debts, and I'm real curious in the fact that how would Netflix or Paramount Plus handle the amount of debt that they're going to assume when this merger is finalized? Like, what is their way? Because obviously Warner Brother been trying for years and has failed. So what are you going to do different? Because we could be talking about Netflix in this situation because of this debt in 5 to 6 years. I don't think mergers are bad. I just think it's these companies get hit with a hard pill to swallow. Like, hey, we just can't make the payments this month for all the debt, and it's either we keep laying off to the point there's nobody to fill the office building, or we go to bankruptcy, or we get bought out. And I think being bought out is the most less evil thing you can do, because at least it saves some jobs, it saves some IPs. Because what you don't want is Warner Brothers going to bankruptcy. I can tell you that right now. You don't want that. And Warner Brothers won't be the first, it won't be the last facing the pressure of all the debt that they're consuming from year to year to year, from project to project to project. I mean, we even reported, even though the Hardworks legacy game did good, it wasn't enough to make a dent in the debt that Warner Brothers had. So it's just
It
Warner
wasn't.
Brothers was just like, okay, that's cool. Even in the latest Batman, they were like, okay, that's cool. They looked at James Gunn's Superman like, that's not enough. I just think mergers are a way of life. I listen, the government shit complaining. That means either you gonna let this merge go through, or you gonna give Warner Brothers a balloon payment so they don't have to get sold and they can make their payments. Because like we reported, loan or debtor people wasn't gonna give Warner Brothers any more money. And when banks and funding agencies say, "Hey, you're cut off," it's a wrap. It's either go to bankruptcy or get sold. Like that was their only option. So unless the government is going, and they do help people like merge to make it a couple more years. They did that with the Boeing airline. They gave them, I think, billions of dollars so they can keep their head afloat during that whole time when the planes was coming down tragically. I don't think the US government right now would do that for Warner Brothers because they don't really have that much interest in Warner Brothers. If you don't know, Boeing is very much tied to I'm not going to go all finances on y'all, but anyway, yeah, the government has a lot of interest in Boeing making it for the rest of its lifespan. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think this is going to continue to happen because a lot of people are looking at the books like, hey, this being in the red, we listen, no. And Warner Brothers already did rounds of layoffs, so they have already tried to save themselves. So I think it's inevitable. Mergers are going to, and consolidation is going to continue to happen. Now I know we said competitors make shit good. I think, listen, you're just going to have to, I mean, there's still players in the game like Netflix and, Disney Plus is, it's still players in the game. So I don't think these two merging is really going to like lessen the competition, because the competition is getting the most eyeballs. So Netflix is still going to be like, hey, we got to make this shit work. We got to do the best we can. Yeah, they fucked up some live action interpretations of anime but still they're trying. And at the end of the day, if a company is trying, I think we just gotta see what happens.
Yeah, you make a good compelling point. What is also interesting, it slipped my mind, was it was reported that this purchase of Warner Brothers, it is just Warner Brothers. Discovery is separated from this deal, and I know that is one of the. I think you
That's
had
what
told me
holds
when
the
we
debt.
reported. Yeah, that's where most of the debt came from, and that they were holding. So it does ask a question. Well, Paramount, you want to overpay another $3 a share? What differently can or would you do? And
Mhm.
then I'm gonna admit, I'm confused because I didn't know Paramount, a big player like this in a sense. When the Paramount app came out, I just thought nothing of it.
Yeah,
And
because it was
then
so
hearing,
crappy.
yeah, and then hearing, they're a mover and a shaker like this, to where they're like, yo, no, no, no. They're almost trying to Comcast their way into this, as Comcast tried to weasel their way into the Disney Fox deal. Now I know Comcast has money. I mean, that's one of the main internet providers slash cable companies in the country.
Mhm.
So I hear you on that. Like, what makes you so different and etc. But like I said, we have a good amount of time to see how
Yeah.
this rolls and plays out. I do believe competition does drive innovation, and it only helps consumer. But this will take a key figure off the board for
But
Netflix, because to me,
well, yeah, they did have
they ran the
HBO.
numbers, and Netflix has the highest, most subscribers. I believe next to them or
Allegedly.
under them, allegedly. Yeah, yeah, allegedly. For someone comes at me in the comments, I
Like,
believe next. Yeah, what are you talking about? Did you not do your research? I believe the next biggest players after them it's HBO, and it was someone else, I can't remember. Disney's at the bottom as far as content
Well,
wise
is
and
that
subscribers. No, Disney.
is that before the Hulu merger thing they're doing or after? Because 'Cause they're
That's
combining the apps now.
Okay, ooh, good question. I'm gonna retract my statement. We'll come back to this. This will be like a slide edit video, but continue. I have nothing else to say.
Like, yeah, but like my cousin said, we got a while. Paramount could pull something out the hat. I mean, from a quick Google, they're only worth $7.4 billion. So, I mean, whereas Netflix is worth almost $500 billion, their current stocks is trading at $11. So, it's not the most money flowing swimming company. And that actually is a big reflection of probably why the app is so trash. Is because I mean they're only worth, like, I say only, but $7 billion in compare to Netflix. I don't know. I don't think Paramount is gonna. Look, if anything, they're trying to make an eBay situation happen where somebody's already at the top. They know they got the most amount of money, and here's somebody who really ain't got that much money, but just driving up the price to be an asshole. So
And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, are you not entertained?